megalomania and the urge to be in the limelight are just as inappropriate as a superego and the like. Appropriate, however, are humility and a style of disseminating the teachings which is not aimed at gathering followers and attracting the faithful, and someone who functions in a way where the people who are genuinely on a quest for the truth feel themselves addressed by that person. Such interested people will then learn through their own initiative and free will, without having some guru or head honcho of a sect crack his whip above their heads. And this requires that those who have an interest are fully aware of and bear complete responsibility for their own actions, and lives in every way, without having a religious, indeed a sectarian faith, behind them that demands only they believe what they are told without thinking for themselves, and without investigating and making their own decisions. Accompanying the importance of the dissemination and fulfillment of the mission mandates, therefore, that everyone is free. Within this freedom, a person then can make fundamental decisions about each and everything, and can act accordingly without having a guru, master or sectarian leader at the head of the line who publicly presents himself in all his glory, commandeers everyone and makes demands. People must be free in every way, and to this end, they are totally responsible for themselves and all that life offers, without their having an imaginary meddling god or a mere guru, priest or sectarian twerp. Only in this way can humans remain or become independent and master their own lives. They must bear responsibility for themselves. This responsibility would be actually taken away from people if I stepped into public view and presented myself, because people have the odd tendency to immediately elevate somebody when that somebody has gained a certain importance in whatever form it happens to take, and when that person steps into the limelight, regardless of the way this Pleiadians, the Gil of Figu, is the worldwide dissemination of the truth about the creational natural laws and directives, and about a way of life that directs people toward the emergence of love, harmony and humanness, and a life of purposeful evolution. The tasks, which are associated with the teachings of the creational natural truth, vary greatly and include such as campaigns against overpopulation, against torture and capital punishment, against discrimination of women, against the abuse of children. We solicit the protection of animals and nature, and we offer assistance to those in need, whether it be food supplies, clothing, medication, household articles, tools or other items. Figu's portfolio of tasks also includes counseling functions related to situations that arise in everyday life and, of course, the advice is free of charge, for we are a non-profit group, or, to be more precise, a legally established, not-for-profit society/organization. In addition to the dissemination of the truth about the creational natural laws and directives, Figu's tasks also include the dissemination of the teachings of the Spirit, in short what we call the Spirit lessons, which pertain to matters of a fringe and spiritual science nature and many topics from everyday life, evolution, knowledge, learning, the psyche, spirit, the various forms of the unconsciousness, subconsciousness, and consciousness, to mention but a few. Producing written material and books is another of Figu's tasks, whereby the books are sold at cost and many brochures are disseminated free of charge. For this reason we make no profit, and, therefore, we are truly a non-profit organization. As you can see, Figu's tasks are very diverse and time-consuming. All the work is performed by members who, voluntarily and without receiving any salary, offer their services during their spare time after they have completed their daytime jobs. Question 19. What type of people are in Figu? Pleiadians. Figu is made up of the most diverse characters. Varied also are their professions, which range from simple laborers to professionals of many callings. Included are apprentices and students, a farmer, gardener, office manager, school principal/teacher, nurse, chef, temporary laborer, clerk, kindergarten teacher, and a lithographer, among others. Question 20. Some people claim Figu is just another sect like so many others. And they say that Meier is a guru. Is that true? Pleiadians. Of course not. We are not a religious nor a sectarian group, nor are we a political, military nor civil community group based upon any totalitarian and autocratic truth. Neither are we perfect in any way or all-knowing, and for this reason we cannot disseminate perfect teachings. Many questions remain for which we have no answers. But we can disseminate the truth about the creational natural laws and directives with which we are familiar and for whose accuracy we can vouch. We state that it is the sole, pure truth for which everyone can search within and by themselves, in nature and one's surroundings everywhere, and that everyone can experience and see it, provided the person is willing to look for and retrieve it. To this end there exists no other truth than the one that actually exists. And it is this precise truth we advocate. This demonstrates that no one is forced or coerced into believing or embracing anything that he or she cannot find out for him or herself or recognize as the actual truth, completely under his/her own direction and with complete personal responsibility, without being prodded or pressured into believing or accepting anything. Furthermore, we of Figu have no guru, master or leader of a sect or the like who stands above other group members, respectively society members. We do have a director who is in charge of everything without holding a special position within the group. Therefore, I, Billy, am not a guru but am a normal member of the organization, respectively group, just like all the others, with the same rights and obligations. I do not have the function or aura of a master or a guru in our organization, in spite of the fact that outsiders love to claim this is so without having any insight into our group. Through hearsay and rumors, such outsiders cling to false and outrageous stories about us and accordingly form their own incorrect and absurd opinions. Question 21. What are we to think when we read in the texts that you are the true prophet of the New Age? Billy. Answer. I did not choose to call myself this name, but the extraterrestrials, the Pleiadians/Plejarans, gave it to me. Still, this term doesn't mean that I am a person with special attributes. The truth is I am a person just like everyone else, except that I am able to control and neutralize my vibrational energies to the point where I can maintain physical and telepathic contacts with these highly evolved Pleiadian/Plejaran beings. And I happen to possess some talents that other people on Earth do not have, which does not at all make me a superior being. The term, prophet, has no conceited connotation but is simply a word which is, unfortunately, misunderstood by many people. Really, this term is merely an alternative word for herald. In other words, a person who announces things such as prophecies or declarations, the content of which he may have either labored himself for or received from some other sources. And when someone says I am the genuine prophet of the New Age, it means that I am or rather the, herald who was previously proclaimed many thousands of years ago, more than 13,30 years to be precise. This matter has to do with my reincarnation lineage, of which my spirit form and my comprehensive consciousness were a part from ancient times, and through which in various former times, my spirit and my comprehensive consciousness have fulfilled their mission as prophets in the bodies of other individuals. As a result, and as part of this finite sequence, I am the pre-announced and foreordained person who came forth as the herald, or prophet, of the New Age. Still, I am no more and no less than a completely normal person, just like any other, in spite of the fact that I am the liaison between the highly evolved Pleiadian/Plejaran spirit forms and the people on Earth. Question 22. How do you feel being among the people on Earth when your original birthplace was in far higher regions? Billy. Answer. While my original birthplace lies billions of years away in the past, I continue to feel connected with it at all times, and I do not deny that I often long for it. Nevertheless, I am now at home on Earth, where I have many dear friends throughout the world. But this does not alter the fact that I often feel extremely lonely. The fault does not rest with my friends but is generally prompted by the influence on me by the state of the spiritual and consciousness-related terrestrial world, which is so dissimilar to the world that was my birthplace and, in effect, still is. Question 23. How did our universe and our world come into existence? Billy answer: the universe originated from an ancient, archetypal bang, produced by a minuscule but highly compressed, flea-sized ball of energy. Originally this energy consisted of purely spiritual energy which created itself from within, although even it can be traced back to an your universe as energy conception. Your equals is a German prefix which means archetypal, most ancient or original in English. A universe is also called a creation or a universal consciousness, and so forth, of which exist 1049 variations. The least evolved creational form is called a creation universe, and the next higher form is an your creation or your universe. The one following is called a central creation or central universe, etc. The ultimate of all creational forms is the 1049, called the absolute absolutum. This absolute absolutum was the initial creational form which created itself from the absolute void by way of the primary Big Bang. Thereupon it embarked on its path through 1049 different main creational forms before becoming the absolute absolutum. Thereafter it wafts in non-space as the highest of the highest creational forms and continues to endlessly expand and evolve through the wisdom of all creations which unite with it once each individual creation achieves a status of being an absolute absolutum as well. Not one creational form is absolutely perfect, not even the absolute absolutum. Creational forms, just as life itself, can only achieve a relative type of perfection over their evolutionary course through processes of constant waxing and waxing again that characterize all life. We live in a creation universe, a material universe, unequivocally the lowest form of a creation or universe. And our universe, our creation, universal consciousness or whatever else people want to call it, must itself strive to work its way up the evolutionary ladder. It must evolve so as to become one with the absolute absolutum once it has passed through the 1049 creational form transformations. From a human perspective this process takes an unfathomably long time, for alone the period during which our creation, our universe, transforms into the next higher creational form, that of your creation or your universe, takes more than 85 quintillion years, 85x 1018 or 85 and 18 zeros years. Once the universal consciousness, or creation, reaches the stage of your universe, respectively your creation, this your universal consciousness self-generates an idea for a new, simple creation, the type of material universe with which we are familiar. This idea, or concept, consists of the purest spirit energy and contains everything it needs to become self-creating for itself from within itself. From a tiny energy ball the mere size of a flea, it creates within itself new, immense energies which become highly compressed until this process culminates in a monumental explosion, the Big Bang. The energies from this explosion initially shoot outward and then expanded for fractions of a second at 107,000 times the speed of light, as they displace other universes in an effort to create its own space among the uncounted other universes, or creations, already in existence. The 7 creational belts, or universe belts, form simultaneously, of which one is the coarse matter belt, the visible matter universe. In this belt originate coarse matters and gases and dust particles from which derive meteors, suns, comets, planets, nebulae, galaxies and other things when coarse matter gathers and condenses. In this way our Earth was born. This means our universe's birth and that of our Earth, along with foreign worlds, stars and galaxies and so forth, is a creational physical energy process and has nothing to do with the Creator God. These happenings are the result of purely spiritual physical and material physical laws and processes based upon physics and chemistry in every way and are, indeed, explainable through them. Question 24. Is there a Creator God in spite of this? Billy answer: no. No Creator God exists in this sense. The Big Bang did not come about through the strength or might of one God, but did so, simply and exclusively, through spiritual and material physical as well as chemical processes, that were triggered and directed by a young universal consciousness, respectively creation. The term, God, has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the creation of the world or the universe, stars, galaxies and the like, for the expression, God, has existed in the vastness of the universe for billions of years, from ancient times to the present, and it represents nothing more than the title of a person. Initially this title was Ishwish, which means God, when translated into our languages. But Ishwish, respectively God, is nothing more than another term for King of Wisdom. It is a purely human title assigned to humans who were particularly knowledgeable, wise, and who possess great mastery in everything. This term's significance, however, was distorted and falsified by humans on earth, particularly by the early religions and those experienced in profiting from using the word. The result was that God, as a king of wisdom, was removed and the people turned him into a creator god who, allegedly, had created the earth, the sun and outer space. Numerous individuals, such as Jehovah and many others, even claimed of themselves to be creator gods, with the consequence that they were also revered and worshipped. One thing led to another, and soon the original meaning of the word, God, was forgotten and, consequently, the purported creator gods were able to victoriously march into the realm of the people's religions, sects and faiths. Question 25. What is creation? What does this term supposedly mean? Billy answer: basically, creation is the entire universe, the universal consciousness, the largest force and energy humans can ever imagine. And creation is also the entire energy and consciousness of every life form in existence, bar none. In its most archetypal form, creation is the purest spirit energy, although it can display countless other forms of energy in its external manifestations, which range from the finest to the coarsest matter. As creation, this all-encompassing energy embodies every level and sphere, including the being of the spirit as well as the material existence. As a universe, creation remains the highest energy form and the highest active consciousness capable of evolution. Its flawless laws and directives have unequivocal validity at every level of existence and spirit form throughout the entire universe. Creation is the mightiest power and energy of this universal creational existence, and it has no human equivalent. More than everything, it has not even the most infinitesimal shred of an iota in common with the man-made creator God who disappears into an abyss of limitless absurdity when compared with creation, its strength, and its mastery. Question 26. What role does creation play in our human lives and that of all the others? Billy answer: creation plays a very significant role in human evolution and that of all other life, for every life form carries within it a minute piece of creation, which provides life to all life. Without this minute particle of creational spirit, not one single life form would exist, for this creational spirit is the actual, fundamental life energy. This life energy, in turn, however, is dependent upon the comprehensive totality of creation itself, which disperses a fine energy form known as cosmic life energy throughout the entire universe. The minute particles of creational spirit absorb and are given life by this cosmic life energy. One could almost say that this cosmic life energy acts as creational sustenance on which all particles of creational spirit subsist. To this end, every life form is dependent upon creation. And yet, it provides no mandate on how humans, for instance, should shape, lead or live their lives. Through its laws and directives, creation merely establishes its goal of evolution and its related proviso. Indeed, the goal is that humans greatly evolve and develop themselves, spiritually as well as consciously, to their highest level of perfection, relatively speaking. In so doing, they may join creation in the future and become one with it, and therefore they help creation to evolve as well. While creation does not dispense conditions to any life form, and every entity is free to live and do as it pleases, there are laws, directives, and guidelines provided which state that according to the law of causation, certain lifestyles will result in certain consequences. This law demonstrates that every action results in a specific reaction. It is, therefore, a creational natural fact that every life form can live as it wishes, that it can make its own decisions and that it can adapt itself, one way or the other, into the laws and directives. Depending on the type of life a particular life form leads, makes for itself, and lives, the result is very specifically consequential, and this life form, especially the human one, is responsible in every way for its actions. The creational natural laws and directives are based upon the positive and negative factors, and for this reason is everything within the entire universe subject to these parameters. And since creation itself, known also as nature, does not dispense any type of conditions as to how a way of life should be fashioned, led and lived, the individual life form, hence all human beings, must therefore fully accept their own, full responsibility for their actions. Every human, therefore, makes his or her own decision whether he or she wants to live according to the creational natural laws and directives to the extent that they bring him or her benefit and advancement, or whether he or she wants to transgress against the laws and suffer the detrimental consequences. This also means that creation bears no responsibility whatsoever for any human action. Humans alone are responsible for each and everything they do, regardless of what they think, feel, concoct, do and undertake. Question 27. Please define such creational natural laws and commandments in concrete terms. Answer. For instance, one of the most significant laws states that the errors humans commit should not be condemned, because only by committing errors can humans evolve. Hence, humans can learn from the mistakes they make. After committing mistakes, they will eventually recognize this fact, reflect on them, and remedy their errors. And, as a rule, they will become more knowledgeable and will refrain from making the same mistakes again, at least not in the identical ways, and thus they make progress. This also signifies that humans must thoroughly reflect on all matters so as to recognize where they are prone to making mistakes and to gather new knowledge, which will lead them to success and advancement. Success and advancement will be achieved by pensive thought, and this is another important creational natural law without which any evolution is impossible. A law, therefore, is an established and irrevocable rule which, when implemented and followed, prevents the life form from experiencing harm of any kind. A commandment, by contrast, is a mere recommendation which guides the person in a specific direction where some initiative should be taken or disregarded and, as a consequence, something good or bad, respectively something positive or negative, will occur. The following recommendations represent such creational natural commandments. You shall not kill in depravity. You shall not violate your covenant with creation. You shall not steal or expropriate from others. You shall not blaspheme the truth, and so forth. Question 28. How did human beings on Earth originate? Did they really evolve from the ape? Answer. The purely terrestrial man, the one who truly originated on Earth, is a natural product of the Earth's planetary evolution. First came the most primitive forms of flora, the lichen and the like, which exuded material that transformed into amino acids. These, in turn, generated new compounds from which higher plants originated that also embarked on the path of evolution. Ultimately, additional amino acid compounds derived from this process and resulted in yet higher life forms, such as fauna, the animal kingdom. All continued to develop and were subject to this waxing and waning process just as the plants were. They lived and died, and from their remains and subsequent mutations/transformations, still newer amino acid compounds and such resulted, which ultimately led to the humanoid life form, the human lineage. These beings were not a purely human race at the beginning but were a form from which several lineages could develop, and this is precisely what transpired. The first humanoid life form split into several species from which developed the humanoid life form as well as other distinct classifications. However, the base lineage was initially human. Through evolutionary processes it slowly transformed to the point where fundamental differences began appearing. While the purely animalistic life forms continued the development of their own species, the humanoid life forms separated. One line continued its evolution as the human form in the natural, predominant form, the other split into various species from which the ape being came into existence with a multitude of variations. And yet, variations emerged even among these archetypal human beings, and one can actually say that several human races existed even at this early stage of development. This, then, contradicts Darwin's theory, since man did not derive from the apes but that the apes derived from man and are byproducts of the ancient, archetypal human evolution. Question 29. To date, how long has terrestrial man existed? Billy answer. If this question refers to the original, genuine terrestrial human being, his age goes beyond 4.5 million years. If, on the other hand, the question refers to those humans on Earth who came to our world from the depths of the universe, then their age lies somewhere between 6 and 12 billion years. These particular human beings who inhabited the Earth are the so-called distant travelers from the depths of the universe. Their home worlds were far from here in an alien galaxy, which has since dissipated, disappeared and gone the way of all temporal things. The majority of these distant travelers from the depths of the universe, who colonized the Earth and interbred with the purely terrestrially born beings, came from the lineage of Enoch. He was the founder of the various peoples who came from a distant galaxy into our Milky Way and settled in the regions of the Sirius constellation, from which they had to flee after living there for a long time. As persecuted runaways, they found refuge in our solar system, where they began inhabiting Mars, Phaeton, and our Earth. Question 30. Is it true that humans have more than one life? Billy answer. That is correct. Humans are subject to the law of reincarnation, hence, they are born again. This also applies to all other life forms that possess both a consciousness and a spirit form capable of evolving. Therefore, when human beings die, their spirit form leaves their physical bodies in the current realm and crosses over into the spiritual realm of the beyond, where the spirit form rests and learns until it is able to reincarnate into another material body. The purpose for having reincarnation and numerous lives is to allow both the human spirit form, which is part of creation, and the comprehensive consciousness to evolve to the point where together they enter into and become one with creation, which itself evolves at the same time. This constant process of reincarnation facilitates the evolution of the person's spirit and the comprehensive consciousness, from which the individual's actual personality and the actual consciousness originate. Many lifetimes are necessary, and so are the reincarnations, respectively rebirths, to bring the spirit to its fullest capacity of knowledge, wisdom, harmony, etc., so it may later attain the highest possible perfection, relatively speaking. It will be absolutely impossible to develop the spirit or spirit form to such a level of relative perfection in merely one single lifetime. In fact, many millions of lifetimes and reincarnations are required to achieve this goal of perfection. Just to free themselves from the physical human body in order to enter the purely bodiless spirit world takes human beings somewhere between 60 and 80 billion years, which is 6 to 7 times longer than what terrestrial scientists claim is the age of the universe. Something else must be clarified. Absolutely erroneous and inaccurate are those views and teachings which assert and declare that the human being is able to reincarnate as an animal, for instance. The fact is, humans are always reborn as humans because of the creational particle within each of them that is capable of evolving. Humans, therefore, can never reincarnate as animals or anything else except as human entities, and what's more, as a rule, they always do so in accordance with their race, although, naturally, it is possible for deviations to occur. But such events only occur in special circumstances. To address these issues now would, however, take too much time. By the same token, animals can never be reborn as humans because the animal's spirit form is neither focused in this direction nor is it intended to evolve toward knowledge and wisdom, as is the case with human spirit forms or the spirit, respectively. Question 31 regarding the topic of reincarnation, mention is often made of karma. Just what is karma? Billy answer. The term karma has come to represent some faulty teachings, just as the Christian term atonement has. According to the karma teachings, man is supposed to bear the burdens of his past life in the next life. Therefore, the individual's subsequent life would be governed by how good or evil the person was in the previous life. If you analyze this concept, it means the individual will be either rewarded or punished in the next life for deeds in the past life. In other words, karma implies the person's type of rebirth is linked to actions in the former life, and that current fate is the result of past life actions. According to this, karma simply means that someone's present fate is predetermined by the deeds in a former life. According to Christian teachings, atonement boils down to punishment or reward after death at Judgment Day. Simply stated, you will get to heaven as long as you are gullible and meek, and as long as you obey the rules and edicts of the Christian religion or its sects. But those who disobey all of this will wind up in hell or purgatory, or will suffer eternal Figu's portfolio of tasks also includes counseling functions related to situations that arise in everyday life, and, of course, the advice is free of charge, for we are a non-profit group, or, to be more precise, a legally established, not-for-profit society/organization. In addition to the dissemination of the truth about the creational natural laws and directives, Figu's tasks also include the dissemination of the teachings of the Spirit, in short what we call the Spirit lessons, which pertain to matters of a fringe and spiritual science nature, and many topics from everyday life, evolution, knowledge, learning, the sacrilegious, indeed a sectarian faith, behind them that demands only they believe what they are told without thinking for themselves, and without investigating and making their own decisions. Accompanying the importance of the dissemination and fulfillment of the mission mandates, therefore, that everyone is free. Within this freedom, a person then can make fundamental decisions about each and everything, and can act accordingly without having a guru, master or sectarian leader at the head of the line who publicly presents himself in all his glory, commandeers everyone and makes demands. People must be free in every way, and to this end, they are truth about the creational natural laws and directives, and about a way of life that directs people toward the emergence of love, harmony and humanness, and a life of purposeful evolution. The tasks, which are associated with the teachings of the creational natural truth, vary greatly and include such as campaigns against overpopulation, against torture and capital punishment, against discrimination of women, against the abuse of children. We solicit the protection of animals and nature, and we offer assistance to those in need, whether it be food supplies, clothing, medication, household articles, tools or other items, totally responsible for themselves and all that life offers, without their having an imaginary meddling god or a mere guru, priest or sectarian twerp. Only in this way can humans remain or become independent and master their own lives. They must bear responsibility for themselves. This responsibility would be actually taken away from people if I stepped into public view and presented myself, because people have the odd tendency to immediately elevate somebody when that somebody has gained a certain importance in whatever form it happens to take, and when that person steps into the limelight, regardless of the way this Pleiadians, the Gila figure, is the worldwide dissemination of the megalomania and the urge to be in the limelight are just as inappropriate as a superego and the like. Appropriate, however, are humility and a style of disseminating the teachings which is not aimed at gathering followers and attracting the faithful, and someone who functions in a way where the people who are genuinely on a quest for the truth feel themselves addressed by that person. Such interested people will then learn through their own initiative and free will, without having some guru or head honcho of a sect crack his whip above their heads. And this requires that those who have an interest are fully aware of and bear complete responsibility for their own actions, and lives in every way, without having a